Hello there. We're back, John, Rudge, and Hugh Todd. We've had a conversation about why coaching might be important in the context of the kind of an organisation called a school, which most of us are familiar with. What we want to do now is I'd like to pick John's brains about the way that coaching can be rolled out in a school setting, in that kind of an organisation, what kind of solutions there might be for leaders who get this and actually think it is time to make a difference. So to share some models of practical ways of helping coaching to actually happen in schools. And Jan has developed four models that she helps schools to understand and to put into practice. So, Jan, the first one's about developing leadership. I know that you like people to lead by example. So let's start with with that whole area about developing leadership. What do you recommend here? How can schools coach or develop coaching here?
Well, with the leadership model, I've very much based it on work that has been ongoing in schools for some time now. The national leadership programs and leadership competencies within those, but also the work you've done, Hugh, with Marshall Goldsmith. You've inspired me too with this model, and what I've created here is a model whereby a school leader and a school leadership team or any other significant person within the school organisation can undertake a 360-degree survey. So that's an online questionnaire. It's made up of 60 questions. They're all linked to the leadership competencies, and will give you a report on your perception of your leadership style. But also the questionnaire goes out to other people, raters, who you wish to get their opinion of your leadership style too. So it gives you an holistic picture of your perception of your leadership, but also other people's perception of your leadership in school. Now, once you've completed that 360, as any other 360s, you'll get a report back. And that report will show you the outcomes of your 360. And my idea from there is that you will then take that into a one-to-one coaching session. And with your coach, you will look at the findings of that 360 and you'll elicit from those findings one or two key areas that you're going to choose to work on to personally develop your own leadership skills. Once you've done that, you will take it to a senior leadership team meeting and you'll share that one or two objectives with the team, and you'll be asking for their support to highlight to you times when you're actually delivering on what you intend to, and also times when maybe you need a bit of a rethink about your style or the way you're putting something over to them, or in fact your expectations of them. So it's a feedback model. The coach helps you to elicit those key areas. Your team helps you to fulfill them. Then one term later, your raters and yourself will be given what we're terming a mini survey. That's some more feedback against your objectives. And once you've got that feedback, you'll have another coaching session and you'll see what that's told you, and you'll go and share the results of that. So this is a model that I'm not seeing many schools utilising at the moment. Some schools are doing 360s, but I'm not seeing that shared and that level of feedback actually going through a whole school year. So rather than a 360 being a one-off, this is a 360 with legs that's going to continually develop you as a leader, and you, in return, are going to help to develop your team as leaders too. So it's a system whereby we help each other to be the best we can be in our school role.
Great stuff. And for myself, I mean, one tip that I would share with anybody thinking about taking this route is feedback can be difficult. It can feel subjective. It can be challenging for people to give their boss, especially somebody they respect, critical feedback. One of the things that I've learned from the Marshall Goldsmith program and way of doing things is feed forward instead of feedback, which is about asking for suggestions about what I could do better to improve you as a leader. If you did this way, that would help me in my practice.
Sure.
So it's about looking forward, which is very much in the coaching model. But what I love about it is that it's you're recruiting a whole team of coaches. And enabling them to help you develop your practice. So that's it's a very organized approach, but it'll have a fantastic cascade effect on, and team building in the leadership team will be incredible. So well worth thinking about.
Well, I'm excited because I have actually got some schools who are going to start on this journey in the new school year. So watch this space. We'll be sharing some stories, hopefully.
Fantastic. Now, your second model is about induction.
Yes.
Helping with induction. Tell me about this one.
Yeah, well, this was a light bulb moment, and I can't take credit for this because I was delivering a leadership program called Growing Heads, which is a program I run on an annual basis, and a deputy head from a primary school started to articulate the challenge that he'd had in working with one of his governors and how he'd suddenly stopped and realised that he was almost dictating how the governor learned rather than asking the governor what would best help him to understand the school and make a contribution. And it was an absolute light bulb moment in as far as I thought, why aren't we using coaching when we induct people into an organisation, whether it is a new governor, whether it's a newly qualified teacher, whoever is new to our organisation, wouldn't it be right and proper to have a conversation with them saying, there are certain things I need to tell you, the mentoring, but actually, what could I do as a leader to help you feel settled as part of the team? How can I give you the information that you need to know? And to start having that conversation as part of an induction process. And I don't see that happening. The story from the deputy head was that he did recognise that he was on a totally wrong path. In fact, the governor had said, I don't think this is the right role for me. And he turned it around into a coaching conversation. And the governor has constructed his own induction plan now, which can be shared with the senior leadership team, and actually is extremely good practice. And I don't think that particular school will ever not use coaching as an induction tool because they have absolutely seen its value.
Again, the tip that I would share on this one, and this is for any organisation, is in my experience, people when they first join a new organisation, they tend to come with experience, they come with aspirations, they come with a lot of ideas, and sometimes we think that, well, our organisation, we need to induct them into our way of doing things. And my tip for people that are coaching people through induction is to find out what those aspirations are and to work out a way that their ideas, their experience, their enthusiasm can actually help my organisation to change and move forward. So it creates the relationship on much more of an equal footing from the outset, instead of the kind of paternal, let me keep you safe and look after you and tell you what you need to know. That's important, but it should be a two-way thing. So
I think it's a quick win model. I think this one.
Absolutely.
You see results very quickly.
Great one to see, and a combination of coaching and mentoring there, obviously.
Sure.
The third model you've got is one that's, I guess, a universal one, open to all. How does this? Tell us about this model. How does it work?
Again, I'm using this model with a couple of academies I'm working with, and I go into the school for a whole day. They chunk up my time into 30-minute slots, and they put it out to the staff and say, who would like a coaching session? I see this. I align it to making an appointment at the doctor's, where you see if there's a vacant slot that you can take, and if you feel that half an hour's coaching would be supportive. You sign up to it and you get that slot. So it isn't categorized by your role in school, by the level that you're at, but it is, as the title said, it's open to everybody who thinks they'll benefit. And I've had some incredible conversations with people in that model, conversations where people have spoke about frustrations and then identified ways that they can proactively overcome some of these. One girl who said, I was thinking of leaving, but actually it's been so good to just sit down. Now, if a short conversation can give someone a change of mindset that is beneficial to them, that has got to be, in financial terms, good value for money. I have got no evidence that this leads to reduction in absence or reduction in stress levels, but I have a strong belief that it does.
So how would this work if, say, you aren't going to be available to everyone everywhere. How would a school make this kind of thing happen? Would this be an external coach coming in, or is this something to be done internally? How does it work?
I think if you're going to embed this, and this is where I'm at with one school at the moment, the school have identified a lead coach within the school, and that person is going to have more intensive coach skills training. So they've had the skills of coaching that I deliver, but they're now going to do a longer and more formal coaching course so that there is someone in the school with that coaching knowledge. What I would hope to see over a period of time is there will be more than one person that has that training, and that will spread year on year, so that will be a group of people. People in the school that have been on the coaching skills training are now coming together as a coaching group, coaching circle, and they are talking about coaching information that they've read, their own personal experiences. So it's very much a sharing culture. And the step that we're not at yet, which is the next step they will hopefully be going to, is from that coaching circle to identify a group of coaches that could be available every day in school, so that there is someone available for staff to sign up and talk to, if they've got the need, if they've got that desire to change the way they're feeling or change the way they're behaving, to know that there is someone in school with those skills that will listen to them. So listening is the key skill, as with all coaching, that we want to try and get across the culture of this school as they go on this coaching culture journey.
To add to that, the two schools that I'm working with in Hong Kong have coaching circles, and terrific enthusiasm in the staff concerned for the principles of coaching, but also for helping each other to develop the skills. They actually are a little bit over self-critical and a little bit hard on themselves in terms of thinking about the coaching, because they've got it, and the challenge is to roll it out so that it's something that everybody can have access to coaching, but also everybody actually should feel that they have enough skills and experience and ideas to be able to coach anyone else. For me, that would be the ultimate definition of a coaching culture, that the playground supervisor should be able to speak to the school principal and point something out or make a suggestion which helps them, and it can be on the run. It doesn't necessarily need to be an appointment or whatever.
And I think one of the reasons, Hugh, that I asked you if you create some online materials is because one of the challenges in school, obviously, is time out of school, and is also funding. And I think we are now in a situation where many people actually enjoy online learning, and it is more cost effective than face-to-face learning. And I think for people to be able to acquire those coaching skills and learn more about coaching at their own pace is definitely where the future's heading.
Great stuff. So that's coaching model 3. The fourth one you've developed is about developing pedagogy.
Yeah,
please explain.
I will, because I think, having spoken to one of your principals in Hong Kong, instructional coaching or coaching for pedagogy, improving your classroom practice, is for all schools an area of intense scrutiny. And many schools are again using the term coaching when really they mean mentoring, when someone in a more senior position will go in and observe a lesson and will give feedback on how that lesson can be improved and how children's learning, how students' learning can be increased. I don't actually just see it like that. I think, again, the fact that someone comes in and observes you is one element of improving practice. But the coaching pedagogy model is where three people, coaching trios, will be established within a school. And within that coaching trio, each individual will identify an aspect of their teaching that they would like their two colleagues to support them with. And the model is such that every term you will invite your coaching colleague, one of the trio, or sometimes even two of them, into your classroom to observe you, to look for a specific aspect that you've identified that you feel you need to make some changes in your practice. And then once that lesson has taken place, the trio reconvene and have a debriefing session, which is using coaching skills where the coach in the trio will speak to the teacher who's been observed and ask about how they perceive that the aspect that they wanted to work on had been developed over the lesson. But also within that trio, there's an observer that can elicit other questions to pose to the teacher that hopefully will give them some additional food for thought. So the whole purpose of this is that the teaching experience for both the teacher and the student is enhanced.
Okay, this sounds like something that school leadership need to actively enable. This is something that obviously requires classroom time. It requires the coaching team to be able to step into each other's classrooms and space and to take time for this to happen.
And also, for this to happen, the people involved need the coaching skills. You can't expect people just to have coaching conversations with no coaching experience when no one's maybe even talked about coaching. I know there are leadership programs out there in the UK now where coaching is covered for one session on one of the days. My belief is that doesn't make people a good coach. You need the background knowledge, but you also need to practice the skills of coaching. And so I think if you're going to have this coaching pedagogy model, you've got to have a system whereby coaching skills training is part of the whole package.
Great stuff. Those four models are all entirely practical. It doesn't take a huge amount of time or resources or whatever to make them happen. There's more a case of the will to make it happen, and I suppose the management to be able to manage expectations and time. But I mean, I think just going beyond your four models, you and I have both talked about this before. Really, there should be a free flow of coaching, but one of the practical things I think that a school principal could take. I mean, I know there's an example here in Hong Kong, and I know this is from your experience as well, Jan. A school principal here in Hong Kong in her first year in the post made a point of having a one-to-one with every single member of staff. Now, there are over 100 support staff in this organisation, let alone the teaching staff. So, I mean, that required a considerable amount of commitment and time discipline to make time for everyone in that way. But her purpose was not to coach or tell, but to listen to every single member of staff, and it was incredibly powerful. It's had a huge impact with one of the support staff, for example, who's been in post for 30 years, saying, this is only the second time I've been in the principal's office. The first time was to be offered the job. And how amazing it was to be given the respect, to feel that their point of view was important enough to be paid attention to by somebody as seemingly powerful as a school principal. What do you reckon to that idea, John?
It was exactly what I did in headship myself. I did it every year, and mine was only a small primary school, and the scale is different. But I absolutely agree with your colleague. There is no better investment in time than building the relationships and getting to know your staff, because that will lead to so many untold benefits, and give you so much knowledge about the people on your team who are there to make a difference to your students. So I think it's a great opportunity to start to play to people's strengths and to be able to recognise that.
Fantastic, John. Thanks again for your time. And folks, if you're watching, if you're listening to this, obviously, if you're anywhere near the West Midlands, or you can afford to fly Jan to wherever you are, there's a lot of practical support there in making this stuff work from somebody who's been there and done that. So Jan can both mentor, instruct, train, and coach people into making this kind of stuff happen. And Jan also mentioned she's been pressing me to develop some easily accessible online training in coaching skills. Now these videos are short. They're at most 10 or 12 minutes. Some of them are shorter than that, to get into each of the basic skills that any coach at any level will need. So as soon as that's ready, there will be links. You will be able to find out about it from either of us or on the Facebook page, The Leadership Edge. Once again, thanks a lot, Jan, and for everybody listening, no more excuses. It's time to make it happen. Over to you.
Thanks, you.